Good morning. Welcome to my craft room. Today I'm going to explain to you how to create this card. Know that if you don't want anything fancy, you just want to get down to the basics, you're in the right place. I'm not going to create a fancy video. I am just going to create the card as I would normally create it so you can see exactly how I did it. Give me just a minute to straighten out my camera. I think that's pretty good. Now, as you can see over here, I have a gold GoPress foil machine. That is what I'm going to use to create the poinsettia for this card. You can use your regular iron on a very low setting, but I find that using an iron, you can potentially get burned. So it's a little easier to use the GoPress for me. Please do feel free to use your iron and don't go spending lots of extra money just to use Foamiran. So let's get started with the base of the card. So that's ready and up and running. I'm not going to do fancy stuff with creating this card. I want to show you what the basics are, and then you can go from there. So I have the traditional card base. Let's see if which would be 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4.25. So let's just get this done here. And then I have my next layer, and this is real red. My next layer is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and all we're going to do, let me just grab my glue. We're just going to take this layer, and you'll notice on probably 90% of the cards I create, there's lots of layers. It does cost a little bit more for postage, which I don't mind, because if I'm going to spend the time creating, I don't mind paying a little bit more. Now, for my next layer, it is the gold foil, and this one is I believe it's, 5.25 by 4. And what I do when it comes to my foil sheets, you're not going to see underneath the next layer, so I cut the center out. Put this aside. This way I can use that for another card in the future. So again, we're just going to add some glue. I could have even used this as a frame to frame out the poinsettia, but I just wanted nice layers. Okay. Now the next layer, and I'm using the glue because this way it gives me just a little extra time to move it around. And you want to make sure when it comes to the outside layer, you want to make sure you don't get any glue right on the edges, because it does cause it to become a little dull. So with the next layer, it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I did prepare it for you but I just want to show you exactly what I did. You take your Whisper White cardstock, and on this layer I used Garden Green. Now you can use the cute little daubers from Stampin' Up, but I already have a dirty pad and my Stampin' Up ones aren't dirty yet. And you're just going to, I like to just stamp off a little bit, and I usually do it on the glass mat because it makes it easier to slide. But we're just going to blend some color around the edges, just like this. And then down here, see what happens when you don't do it where this is sliding off and on. You get this kind of blending. You want to do it on a surface where you can pull the ink back up off the glass pad. So once you, instead of making a bigger mess of this, once you blend your color, you're gonna run it through your Big Shot. As you can see, the paper is textured. You're gonna run it through your Big Shot or the new Cut and Emboss machine with the Subtles 3D embossing folder. And then again, you're going to layer this right on top of your card. I know everybody's probably waiting to see the poinsettias, but I just thought you'd like to see how I created this card before I did the poinsettia itself. So again, a little bit of glue, so I have a little wiggle room. Make sure it's even on top of this, on this layer of card. Okay. And then I took some, this time on this one, this card, oh, and I hope I have them both here. My stomach's growling. I actually embossed and then colored on Whisper White, as you can see. But to give it a little bit more boldness, this time I embossed on Real Red, and then we're going to add these onto the front of this card. I think it just makes it look a little bit more bold. Now you'll notice that these are not fitting as they did on the first card, because to be honest, I cut this card just a tad differently for a different project I'm working on. So this is going to overlay each other, and we'll just switch this out a little so you can see. That looks good. You're not going to see that because we're going to do our flower. So then you're going to layer up your greenery, and I believe I did break some of these off. Get my scissors so we can round these out a little bit. And this one here. And we're just going to lay the greenery out. And I did lots of different greens. So you have a little bit of contrast on the front of your card. So we're just going to layer this up. Here's a different kind of leaf that's pretty interesting. We'll just put this in here. And then we have some gold We're just going to layer this on here. And as you're doing this, note that you are going to be gluing it down. You don't have to have all this if you don't want. If you think it's too busy, take some of it off. You don't have to have it exactly like this. It may be a little better just doing it very simple, but like I said, you are going to glue everything down. And then I took some old olive and I stamped it in, I believe this is mossy meadow. And you're going to cut out your leaves. I like to give them a little shape. And then on this longer end, I just fold it a little bit. And then you're going to glue that end down. But we're not going to do that. You wouldn't do that yet until you get your flower finished, because you want to tuck these under so it looks like it belongs. Okay, so there would be your layers. So let's get started on these flowers. I'm going to pull in the heating element, which is the Go Press foil, and as of right now it is I'm just going to get these out of the way for a second. It's blinking red, so that means it's not ready, but it is warm. So this is how you'll do it. I'm just going to get a piece of paper, and I use the Poinsettia dies, the embossing die, and the cutting die. And this is 1mm Foamiran, and I'm not sure if that is how you pronounce it or not, but that's how I pronounce it. And you're going to cut out the large, and then each of the different size petals. Large, medium, small, and then the tiny individual petal. So let's just sit these aside for a second. And all we're going to do is, with the Stampin' Up! Spritzer or any other spritzer that you have, I just want you to spritz it just a tiny bit with a nice big spritz of water, and then you're going to put it in to heat. You don't want to heat it where it melts. You just want to heat it until it's warm and you can manipulate it. So I think that's good enough. So you're going to pinch it in the center, line up all your flowers in a pile, and you are going to take it in your hand, and as best you can, my hands are so dry, but I'm going to just spritz my hands so you can see. You're going to rub your hands together and get some wrinkles in this Foamiran, and then you're going to twist it. And you're going to do this for each and every layer. While I'm doing this, I'm going to put the next one in. I'll just put that in. Whoops, forgot to spritz it. It just gives it. So you're just going, and be gentle, even though it looks like I'm really doing this hard. Be a little careful because the Foamiran has a tendency to rip. So there's your first petal. Doesn't that look like a mess? So let's go to the next one. You're going to do the same thing. Fold it over so all your petals are in line with each other. And see, my hands are very dry. Just going to spritz it again. And you're going to rub it together. My hands this morning are dry, but we're going to rub them together just like that. And then turn and twist. And there's your next layer. I'm just going to put these two in at the same time. I'm going to have to dry my desk off. That's why I wanted to move the cards because I sprayed the devil out of my desk. Okay, so again, fold your layers up. This time we'll give it a little spritz in my hand, and then we're going to roll. It just spritzing in your hand just gives it a little bit of a chance to give it a base, to catch your hands. Because like I said, my hands are dry. It just seemed like it was just sliding right off the palms of my hand. Now with the smaller one, you want to be a little gentle because it is so tiny. But do the same thing. Line up your petals. And I forgot to plug in my glue gun, so I'll just explain without doing it. Okay, so there are your petals. Just turn this off. Just going to unplug it for a minute so it has time to cool off before I put it away. So that's the basics of getting your Foamiran together. Let me grab my pad. So the next step, and what we're going to do this now so it has a couple minutes to dry. But these are the stamens, or the inside of the flower. And we're going to give this a few minutes. You can use any color. I just happen to use the gold delicata for the inside. And we just want to create some gold on these stamens. You may have to flip it around a little. I don't know if you're like me. I seem to always get lots of ink on my hands. But that's okay. I have fun. No fussing in this room. If it can be done, I'm going to try it no matter what. Okay. So now this is going to take, like I said, it's going to take a couple minutes to dry because the little stamens are like plastic coated. So we're just going to set these aside for a minute. Get my dirty rag. Okay. So now for the flowers, let's go to, I'm going to take this back in. I'm going to use this little. And you're going to very carefully open up the petals. And you can see they are nice and wrinkled. They don't look flat anymore. They look like real petals. You don't want to do too much finagling with them. You want them to look pretty natural. And then you're going to take your glue gun. I think I'll use this glue here. This doesn't really dry that quickly, but you're going to take your hot glue. I did hot glue on the first one because it was easier to get everything finished quickly instead of having to wait for glue to dry. But for the video, I'll just use this. But no, I did use a hot glue gun. Excuse me. Now you're going to take your next layer and do the same thing. Very carefully open it up, and you can see that it is crinkled and it looks like a natural flower. And you're just going to lay this down on the first layer, and you want to offset it so these petals are in between as best you can the outside petals. And we're going to continue that down until we get to the last petal. And again, we're going to take this and just offset it a little bit again. You want to be able to see the back flower petals, and you want to see the center flower petals. And then here's the cute little center. You may want to look at it and see what side you would like for to show on the outside of your flower. And again, offset it just a little bit so you can see all the beautiful layers of this poinsettia. We're going to give that a couple minutes to dry. We're going to pull in the stamen. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if I have any more wire. So let me just grab a flower quickly. I got so many. Let's see. I always cheat if I can't find what I'm looking for. There's always something that I can grab. It's just a regular flower embellishment. Just going to pull off the flower head. Maybe not. Yep. And we're just going to use the wire. Let's get rid of that. We're just going to use the wire to the flower. We're going to line up these stamen. Take your wire. Put it in the center. They don't have to be perfect because it's a flower. And in nature, although the perfection is just gloriously beautiful, nothing is perfect. So they can be offset a little, and they're probably not completely dry. So the gold may rub off, and we may have to hit them again with some gold. But you're going to put it down the middle of the stamen. So now we have double the amount. Instead of 4, there's 8. And we're just going to wrap the wire just like that. Now you have your little stamen here attached to a wire. And this is probably not dry yet, but take your pokey tool or anything you have that you can poke a hole, and you're going to go down the center. Can you see that? You're going to go down the center of the flower and poke a hole right through to the bottom. Make sure you give it a good twist. Get that hole open, because what you're going to do is you're going to take this wire. Make sure we got a nice pokey end. I'm just going to cut this little piece off here so it doesn't hang up. And you're just going to put this through, and it is going to hang up, I think. Oh, there we go. Through the center of the flower, and pull it just so the stamen are right there in the center, but not all the way down. And then we're going to leave that on there for now, because what you're going to do, now that you have your flower and all your greenery is glued down to the front of your card, we're going to take this flower. You can pull it up a little bit Just scrunch it together, give it a little bit more 3D look, and you're going to adhere this to the front of your card. Just make sure that your little stamen are sticking up, your flower petals are alternated. Like I said, this glue is not dry yet. And then once the glue sets and it's dried to the front of your card, make sure you catch that string on those stamen. Just cut off that end piece. And then there you go. You have your Foamiran flower on the front of your card. And you can do it in any color. It doesn't necessarily have to be red. You could do it in white. You can do other flowers the same way. If you have roses, or I think I'm going to try it with the poppies. But that's how you do it. It's very simple. It goes very quickly. I mean, it's not even a half hour and the card is finished. Please feel free, if you have any questions, to drop me a line or an email. My blog is at galfridastamping.com. If you go there, you can shop. My store link is there. Here's my hostess code for August. And also, click the Facebook group and the Instagram and the Pinterest and join. Come join me. So every day of the week, Monday through Friday, I do take the weekends off. You can join me as I create different cards to showcase different stamp sets along the way. Now, as you can see, this week I'm working on the zany zebras. They are just the sweetest little things, and I don't know if you caught it, but on Monday I created this adorable little carousel with each of the zebras on the carousel. One of the ladies in my group suggested a cake topper. I didn't even think of that when I created it. But a cake topper or a centerpiece for a birthday table, it would be perfect. So join me Friday night, because this is Friday Live, the carousel with the zany zebras. I'm going to teach you a really great technique that I was so excited to learn while creating this project. And here is Tuesday. I called him my zany zebra in jeans. And then this is today's card. I wanted to create what looks like the side belly of the mama zebra, because this little guy is celebrating. So have a great day. I hope you found my video useful. Like I said, no bells and whistles here, just straight from the room. I hope you'll join me in my group, Gal Friday Stamping, and I'd love to have you. If you'd like to join my team or learn how to buy your products at 20% off, please drop me a line. I'd love to help you. Have a great day. I hope your life today is a crafty one. Bye-bye.